Hello everyone, and welcome to Comic Book Wednesdays. First of all, I'd like to point out that there wasn't one last week, and there's going to be an extra one coming out this week, because there was only one comic that came out last week that really interested me, and that was Batman number 17. Now, I know in the previous one before the last week's, I was supposed to go up to last week, but I put up today. I said that I was going to get Cable and the X-Force number 4, and Secret Avengers. Well, I didn't have enough money, nor did I really care for those comics. So Batman number 17 was really the one that was just enough for me. So personally, I'm fine with that. I'll put it up today. It's just one comic. I'm like, why put it up when I don't have enough? This week we have plenty to talk about. And I have them right here. Now I know there's no car ride. I went to the other comic store, and I'd prefer, because it's just right at the door, and they can see you recording if you want to, and I don't know if that's okay or not. I'm going to say no. But we have our comics, so let's begin with the biggest one probably of the week. Justice League of America, number 1. Now, this is not a variant, not one of the 52 variants. So, I'm fine with that, though. That's the thing. I'm fine with not having one of the variants, because I probably wouldn't have gotten one anyway, and it probably was like $50 for a Michigan variant, and I don't want to waste money for a Michigan variant. I'm fine with that. Next we have Nightwing, and he's on a rampage because of death of the family, and only Robin can stop him on the bottom. So Damian's gonna have to stop Dick Grayson from something. No one knows. The big release for Marvel this week, Nova number 1. Now, the reason why I want to really read this is because of a name right there. Jeff Loeb. Oh, I love this guy. This guy's my favorite dude in the world. There's so much about him that's so great, and I love him so much. And his writing is fantastic, and I hope that Ed McGuinness, what do you know? Ed McGuinness is drawing this? That means they're going to probably do something like Batman and Superman Public Enemies. Who knows? But I'm really interested in that. Next we have Deadpool, the final of the presidents, the dead presidents. We're finally going to get a conclusion to that. And I really love the Deadpool series right now. It's fantastic. It's funny. It's interesting. You actually think Deadpool's actually a likable character rather than this mercenary that you don't care about. We also have Captain America number 4. Now, the last issue of Captain America, we saw that he got attacked, and then something grew out of his stomach, and I'm not going to say what, because that's a spoiler, so I really want people to read the third one before this one. The first one, I think, was the weakest so far, because it was just exposition for starting out the story. The second one I thought was great. Third one was okay. This one I hope they're out of this planet soon, because I really don't like the planet in general, so. And finally, we have Avengers number 6. Now, this is about Captain Universe. I have no idea who Captain Universe is. We're going to find out by reading this, because he's a new character and all that. So, that's all the comics for this week. We have a lot to talk about. So, I'll read them and I'll give you my opinions of them. Alright guys, we're back to Comic Wednesdays, and we're going to talk about reviews now. We're finally getting... This is the big one, because there's more than 3. Holy crap, I'm actually going to have a top 3 and runners-up, or do not pick up these ones. So, our first issue we'll talk about is what we did in order. So, Avengers number 6. This is about Captain Universe. Now, Captain Universe was that being from the end of Avengers number 3 that stopped the whole thing on Mars. You get a little bit more in depth with the character and why this being is here. But that's really it. Nothing else happens. There's a side story with Superior Spider-Man where he starts eating this food, and he goes talk to Iron Man. It's like, what's the point of this side of the story? You want to know more about Captain Universe, because Captain Universe's story is just completely smooth in a way. I'll tell you like that. It's smooth and like, oh, it goes through the angles and it does it like that. So there's that. But that's pretty much it. Like, you know about who is inside Captain Universe. It's this black lady, I'll say that. And you just know her story and how she became Captain Universe, and how Captain Universe is this being that's taken over this body. It's like, oh, okay. So, not a very good issue for the Avengers. Next is Captain America number 4, and we're still on this alien planet. 11 years later after the 3rd issue. Okay, guys, come on. Let's not do this. Let's not do this time elapse thing, because this is really dumb. So, Captain America's still with this boy who's Zod's father is his son. I messed that up. He's Zod's son. And he's starting to question about who's his father and all this. And Captain America, of course, like, no, I don't want to talk about it. And you can see in this costume, it's all, like, sewn together because, on the end of the 3rd one, spoiler alert if you haven't read it, why you watching the review for number 4, his chest is glowing with the guy in it, so it's like that. This comic's not that good. Honestly, I'm very disappointed in this issue. I was expecting more from them getting off the planet, but they're finally close to it, apparently, according to Captain America. They're finding a way off of it, finally. Of course, you still gotta love the John Romita artwork. The artwork is just so gritty. I love that word, gritty. It's just that way. Like, you can tell on the cover, it's so gritty. I love it. It's absolutely fantastic. But there's a scene when he finds out that Zod's his father that he freaks out, and they're like, oh, it's okay, it's okay. But they're finally almost there, and then Zod releases final bad guys, and it's just like, I don't care. So I'm going to be glad when they're finally off this stupid planet, which seems to be in the next, couple of issues. Next, we have Deadpool number 5, and of course, it's still continuing the President's line. I apologize for earlier. The next issue is the final issue of the Dead President's line. This is a very fun comic, of course. They send Deadpool into space, as you can clearly tell by this cover. You actually see this in the book, but he never uses it, which is pretty pointless, but it's really cool that they actually incorporate something from the cover into the freaking book. Like, you never really see that in there, but like, oh hey, the cover art is actually in the book. Good. So, you see that Deadpool is fighting presidents. He's going to fight Ronald Reagan. Now, not Ronald Reagan. Yeah, it's Ronald Reagan. He's the actor. He's in space, and he's trying to blow up the Earth, of course, and Deadpool's got to stop him, and you know what? It's funny. The beginning thing when he's hanging out with Ben Franklin, and then this kid just appears, and it's just so funny. I love who the Poston and Duggan. I love the writing style that they've done. The writing style is just perfect for a Deadpool comic because it's just supposed to be hilarious. That's all you really care about. The ending is so like anticlimactic too, because you're like, oh, it's the final issue. Of course, there's gonna be something bad that happens, and something bad does happen. It's actually it's gruesome for children. I honestly have to say, you don't ever want to pick up a Deadpool book for kids. You gotta pick it up for at least mature kids, about the ages of like 13 or so. So, kids who like to play Call of Duty, basically. And finally, the big one from Marvel this week, Nova number 1. I like this book, I do, but out of the Marvel books this week, I think it is it's a stronger one. Avengers and Captain America are not in the top 3. I'll tell you that so far. If I look at the next two after this one, I may put this in the top 3. Depending on. So the story is about this kid named Sam. His dad was the original Nova, and he fought with the Guardians of the Galaxy and the Nova Clan. Really cool, but now that that's all done, he has to work as the son's high school janitor, which sucks. His son's he's picked on, and because his dad's the janitor, and he's less abusive. And he doesn't find his life happy with his dad. He wants his dad to be better, and his dad keeps telling his daughter about these stories about how he was Nova and he fought with the Guardians of the Galaxy and how much cool it was. And his son, Sam, just doesn't want to listen to it. He's so, bored of it. But we're going to find out later that Sam's going to become Nova. We already know this. We've seen it before happen. But we're finally going to see it happen to Sam, finally. Finally. Of course, Ed McGuinness and Jeff Loeb, the perfect team up. The artwork is fantastic. I think the dialogue in this is a little clunky at times. There wasn't enough interaction between Sam and his dad which is the main problem I find with the book. I mean, he has a big issue with his dad, but there's never, like, really an interaction with them. Which, yeah, you need to have an interaction if you're ever going to want to do, like, an interesting story with him dealing with issues of his dad. I mean, he talks to his mom all the time, and he talks to his little sister, and the relationships between everyone but the dad are fine with him. And at the end, the ending is just so hilarious. Like, it's supposed to be taken serious and hilarious at the same time, but it just comes off as hilarious. He wakes up in the hospital, he just sees what he sees. It's just so funny. So, definitely probably the best Marvel book of the week. Let's go over to the DC side. We got Nightwing, number 17. Comes right off Death of the Family. Dick Grayson is coming off with the fact that Joker burned down Amusement Mile, and he almost killed several people. He made most of the people turn into Joker minions with the Joker gas. And he's just afraid. Nightwing is honestly afraid of what will happen. And, of course, it shows that only Robin can stop him. Really, it's just a talk. Damian has a talk with Dick Grayson, and he's just like, hey, chill out, okay? You need to not worry about this stuff, okay? The Joker's gone, and it's no big deal. Nightwing follows through with that. It's just a talk down. Like, honestly, that's the biggest disappointment. It's just a talk down. There's not, like... The cover, sure, this kind of happens. You see him grab it, but, like, that's it. You don't see, like, the aftermath of Nightwing, like, breaking down or anything before he's about to kill the guy. Which he doesn't kill the guy, because Nightwing doesn't roll that way. He's about to kill the guy, because he's destroying him, but, you know, he doesn't roll that way, because, you know, he's like Batman. He doesn't want to kill. So he and Damian have a talk, you know, he goes to funerals for people who died, and it's just, it's heartbreaking for him. This is a character development for Nightwing, because he lost almost everything, and, you know, he's just got to deal with it. He just hopes that, you know, everything's fine, but probably not. After coming off Death of the Family, this is definitely, because of character development, you want to go in with it, but I just don't feel like, if they keep doing this, like, the next issue is supposed to be another character development book, which is no, because the one issue is fine, and then go on with it, go on with the story, but it's supposed to be another one, and this one's supposed to be with Batman. It's like, ugh. So, again, I hope that, like, next issue, he takes Robin's advice, at least. So, that being said, it's a good issue, though. And then the big one, the biggest one of the week, Justice League of America #1. Oh, the story of this is simplistic, honestly. It's simple. It's how they're going to build the team together. Basically, Wonder Man and the girl who runs Suicide Squad, I'm not sure who it is, but they're basically setting up the Justice League of America because they want to have an extra team just in case the Justice League goes rogue. And they want to have people who have equally matched powers to the Justice League to fight the Justice League just in case they get out of hand. So they find all the people. They find Green Arrow, they find Green Lantern, they find Catwoman, they find Vibe, they find Katana, they find Hawkman, they find Star Girl. Who? Martian Manhunter. They find all these guys and they're going to put them together. You don't see the team actually come together yet, however, which is fine, because they did this in the Justice League comic, #1, when they started the New 52. They did this in the same thing. They did not start the team together. They actually started off the people not actually liking each other. Superman's actually about to fight Batman. Green Lantern and Batman team up, but they have no idea why they're teaming up. They just do it because he's in Gotham City, and they're all considered vigilantes because they're costume freaks and they have these powers. It's like, oh, okay. But they're still... In this one, you at least see the team's actually going to come together a lot faster because, you know, we've already had the exposition in this comic. The ending is just... You don't see it coming, I'll tell you that. So the second issue is definitely going to be big. I can't wait to pick up the second issue. I'm very surprised with how good this was. Yeah, I can't... And it actually wants me to get interested in the other characters of Katana and Vi because I didn't read the other issues of them. The side-alone issues that they had, they just released them. I'm kind of interested in them now, but I'm not going to pick them up anyway because, you know, I already forgot about them. The comic store's probably not going to get them until like 4 weeks later, probably, because that's how they roll. So, with that being said, great issue. I recommend picking it up. So, let's do the top 3. So you might have a good idea what I want to say for the top 3. This is going to be difficult because I have to pick between 6, and I have to pick a top 3. So 3 of them are going to be in the slum. Now let me get out of the way. We already know. Captain America and the Avengers, you're out. So we have 4 left. Between the 4. Now, we already talked about Nova, how it might be a number 3 issue, but you also got to think about Deadpool, how good of an issue that was. Nightwing had a good issue as well, and then Justice League of America. Okay, let's get this out of the way. This is number 1. This is the definite most pickup of the week. If you are going to the comic store, you need to pick up this issue. As best as you can, try to get a variant. It's going to be very expensive probably, but I'd say go for it if you can. It's definite pickup. It's the number 1 for me. But deciding between 2 and 3 is very difficult because these are all good issues. I recommend, if I had a top 4, I'd recommend picking them up. But if I had to pick an order, I honestly would go with Deadpool and Nova. These 2 issues over Superior at Nightwing. Not saying that Nightwing was bad. I just think that it was a mostly character development we didn't really need at the same time. Nova is going to get better and better from here. I'm sad that I'm not going to be picking up any more issues from this. Only reason why is because I don't have enough money. Money is a tight issue right now, so we're not going to be picking up crazy issues. Deadpool, on the other hand, is cheaper, so I recommend picking it up. I definitely put order right here. Justice League of America number 1. Nova number 2. Deadpool number 3. Great issues from each of these guys. I am very happy, but let's look at next week. Next week, we only have 2 things coming out, but they're going to be really good, because you know how I feel about the first issue of Injustice God Among Us. We know. That was my number 1 from the first week I ever did this. I thought that was the best. Great. The next one, on the other hand, is going to be a little something that was related to this week. It's going to be Guardians of the Galaxy .1. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. Of course, you have great writer, Brian Michael Bendis, who I like his writing. He's done a lot of good stuff. He does great stuff, actually, but I really don't want to pick up his work because he has so much he's doing. But Guardians of the Galaxy is definitely one that I am picking up. And that's pretty much it. There's only 2 comics coming out next week that I'm really interested in. So, there's that. I mean, we don't really get anything until March. And March is the start of the Age of Ultron, which I'm very, very excited about. The tie-in books, all this stuff. You already know how I went on and on about in the Comic Book Wednesdays about 2 weeks ago. So you know how I feel about that. So, I can't wait for that. I hope it's really good. So, that's the end of this Comic Wednesdays. You know how I feel. Pick up JLA number 1. Definite pickup. And I'm going to talk to you guys later.